Welcome to challenge number 6, write a function in Python. In this challenge, we're given an integer that represents a year, and we're supposed to figure out whether it's a leap year. It's a leap year if it can be evenly divided by 4. However, it's not a leap year if it can be evenly divided by 100. On the other hand, it is a leap year again if it can be evenly divided by 400. So this problem is actually very similar to the second one that we did, which is the if-else problem. There's two major differences though. One is just in terms of syntax, we're supposed to do this logic in a function. And then the other one is how the cases overlap. So in this case, if a number is divisible by 400, it is also evenly divisible by 100 and by 4. So we'll have to think a little bit about how we structure our if statements so that we actually get the correct result. So let's start by having a quick look at the code that is already provided for us. So up here, this is the declaration of a function. Def is how you start out declaring a function. IsLeap is the name that was chosen for the function. And then in the parentheses here, you have the arguments that get passed into the function. So next you'll have your colon, and then this is going to be the body of the function where you write your own logic. Finally, the function in this case will return a Boolean value, meaning true or false, whether the year that you put into the function is a leap year or not. Down here, the year is provided by the website, and then that year gets passed into the function, and the function's called, and the result, which is going to be either true or false, is going to be printed out. So there's a few different ways that we can do this. And the first one that we're going to try is with 3 different if statements. So first, we'll want to check whether the year is evenly divisible by 4. So we'll go if, and now we've done this before in the second problem, use the modulo operator. So we'll go year modulo 4 equals 0, and in this case leap is true. Now why does this work? Because the modulo operator divides year, in this case by 4, and returns the remainder. If it's evenly divisible by 4, the remainder will be 0. This will be true, and we'll set leap to true. Next, we will check whether the year is evenly divisible by 100, in which case it's not a leap year. So we'll do that with a second independent if statement, and the syntax will be the same. So if year modulo 100 equals 0, then leap will be false. And similar to that, and again in a different independent if statement, we'll check for it being divisible by 400, in which case it is a leap year. So if year mod 400 equals 0, then leap equals true. Okay, let's have a look and see if that works. Yep, that's good. Okay, so this works because we have used 3 independent if statements, meaning all of these conditions are being checked in this order regardless of whether the previous one is true or not. So for example, if the year is 4000, this condition will be true and it will set leap to true. This condition is also true, so it will then change leap again to false. And finally, this is true, so it's going to change leap back to true and then return true, which is the correct answer. If instead we used elif here and here, like we did in the second problem, then it would actually only evaluate the first condition, and if that is true, then it would skip the other 2. So for example, if let's say the year was 500 it would find that it's evenly divisible by 4, set leap to true, skip these, and return true, even though it is also divisible by 100, which means that leap should actually be false. And you'll see if we run this code through all the different test cases, we'll actually find that it doesn't work because it does run into these situations where the year is actually divisible by 100, and we just skip this condition because this was already true. If you actually wanted to use elif, then we would have to change the order. So let's have a look how that will work and then understand why it works. So we would actually check if it's divisible by 400 first, then if it's divisible by 100, and finally whether it's divisible by 4. Let's have a look first and see if that works. Yes, it does. Now let's understand why. If the year is divisible by 400, then it will also be divisible by these, and we don't actually need to check it. This will be our final answer, because this condition supersedes both of the others. Now similarly, if it's not divisible by 400, then we can check whether it's divisible by 100, and we know that it's not a leap year. There's no point in checking whether it's divisible by 4 because we already know it is. Finally, if these are both false, then it can still be divisible by 4, in which case it is a leap year. So there's a few fundamentals that we learned here, how to declare a function using if and elif statements and using the modulo operator, as well as Boolean values. Like all of these things, I'll try and do some separate videos on just to give you a bit of a better understanding of those basics. But as far as this problem here is concerned, we're done and we can move on to the next one. See you there.